Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us today for the technical application training. For anyone for whom it is the first event, and you have missed last week's event and you haven't watched it yet, an introduction into the challenge brief and a general overview for this, please watch the recording last week. Today we will focus on the technical application. So it means basically what is the challenge brief and how do you write your proposal. The first thing is to basically explain the process, what we were thinking, and how you what we expect basically as an input from you or result, the proposal from you. But the session is also open to any technical questions you might have. I would say priority for the first, but then after it is also about any technical questions about in the challenge brief you might have. As to the procedure, okay, translation and so on is known. We will record the entire event, different to last week. We will not cut off. We will record the entire event because it's potentially technical questions and this needs to be shared with everybody. So we'll record it. You can ask your questions in multiple ways. You can use the Q&A function, or you can use, or we will open up the microphone later on in the event. If you wish to build a consortium, you're seeking a partner, you present yourself, whichever you want to do, you're free to use the chat function. This part will not be public ultimately, but yeah, don't be shy. Okay, what is today about? So first of all, key parts of the tender, how it is built up, what the outcome is about, the challenge brief, and the explanation of how the two TD2, the challenge brief, and your bid are connected. My presentation will be shorter than last week's, if anybody is afraid, so there will be much more room for questions. If you can post at any point in time, I will have an eye on it. I can't promise that it will be directly answered, but at the end, most definitely. Okay, so the summary. Again, the main insight here is that there are these documents constituting the entire tender. The first two documents are basically description of the tender, the call for tender. It is the terms here, the rules of the game, TD1, and the challenge brief, basically what is by the Commission often called the specifications. The technical specifications, basically, of what the solution should constitute. I hope you have read it. It would be good. It would be good prepping if you had. If not, there's still time. Don't worry. But my recommendation would be to read this first. Then there's all this. Your proposal or how it will be submitted. Today, the focus is obviously on this one here, the technical part. And then ultimately in the project, we need to sign contracts on basically what we have offered you and what you have offered us, and that we agree on it. And this is all summarized in the framework agreement across the 3 phases. And then for each phase, a specific agreement with basically the deliverables we state copied, plus that some you offered us copied, and that's basically it. Now, the table displayed in different means as follows. The call for tenders today, challenge brief, and section 2.1 of the call for tenders of TD1. The challenge brief describes the technical solution. It is basically remains true until the end of the project. It basically says what we consider to be a problem for the supplier, for the procurers. And this is what we want to have solved by you. And the call for tender, section 2.1, basically describes how the project is to evolve in the course over the 3 phases. These 2 things need to be combined. The one thing is the intellectual question to be answered. The second thing is how should this intellectual question be put into place, or how it should be documented rather. Yeah, at which point do you need to achieve such a milestone and deliver such a deliverable? For your offer, obviously both matters, because you cannot plan your work without knowing when certain things are to be delivered. Now, the submission are all these documents, and today is, and they turn out to be, will be ultimately documented in the contracts. And today, this is the focus. As a reminder, next week, the focus will be this part. This week, the focus will be this part. If you have questions you want to document for us for the next week, you can write them, and we will write them down, and we will prepare in the presentation. But I would, I'm strongly inclined to defer any admin questions for next week, simply to focus today. Now, the expected outcomes. So there is TD1, and this is basically table 1. Yeah, it's an ugly screenshot, but this table basically explains if you have explains the steps which we expect the development and R&D work to take. Yeah, so if you've read the challenge brief and you wonder, wow, this is quite a lot, and I'm supposed to deliver this in the first week of the project, this is not the case. Yeah, it is a long project for an R&D. For a tender, it's long. For a tender, it's long. It's also very huge. So we expect a step-by-step approach. So in the first phase this year, in the first half of the second phase this year, in the second half of the phase 2 this year, and so it goes. Yeah. So this is broken down. The challenge brief broken down into individual development milestones to progress across these 4 dimensions, which I explained in, and we will briefly touch on in a minute, and then look through the challenge brief. Yeah, and then TD1 section 2.1 also explains what happens in each phase. So this basically means what is the point of this phase, coming from the instrument perspective, so kind of the formal requirements of what the EC wants us to do, and we want you to do because it makes sense, and the deliverables due in the course of this activity. And the deliverables look to be many, but are not. There are just a few deliverables which continuously progress and evolve. The term I always use is so-called living document. So we do not want you in each phase to develop something new and provide us with a new deliverable, because this is it is not good for you, it's not good for us. What we want is that the CE solution will be well described in your technical offer. This is why you win. And that you continue working on it until this deliverable here, the final version, is the ultimate fantastic explanation of the solution you have developed, basically as the cornerstone of future business for you, including, I don't know, the publishable element which with which you can go out and say, please join our platform. This is what we have to on offer. It can do this and this things. Okay, so the graphic basically describes here the evolution of it, yeah, of the deliverable. This technical offer is split basically into the technical components, the technical components being the C solution, being the digital solution part. The change part is obviously a bit softer, so we took it out of the technical, out of this deliverable. It evolves the same way. During the first phase, not much is expected on this because testing is far away. You should focus on the technical part. So this comes, and in phase 2, you will begin to start testing. So you will have to present your prototype. You will document the test of the prototype. You will test the prototype in the second version. You will document the test in the second version. And obviously, during phase 3, the solutions will be rolled out into the cities, and actually users will be using it live during their work. Here again, you need to present what you have, what you're offering them, and you document what they have been doing for the past 10 months on your platform. Sorry, I highlighted this here. I think I meant this here, obviously. And since it is a data-sensitive solution in a governed environment, obviously, you also provide us with some compliance and feasibility documentation, which includes GDPR, the AI risk assessment, for instance, and a business model ultimately. Yep. That because at the end of the project ends at some point. You will have tested, you have developed, achieved the R&D results. The procurers will have happy to give you the money to do this, but the procurers obviously have an interest in the solution to continue and actually spend money on to buy, to subscribe, whatever business model you choose, your solution to continue. And you want not only sell the solution to the few procurers here represented in the project, the many more followers we have already recruited and are going to recruit, but hopefully to many, many cities across Europe, because we all are facing the same challenge. When it comes to reporting, it's very minimal. I can tell you that. I know it because I know the template. It is, at first it's an abstract, and then, an abstract, and then it's some reporting on what you've done over the phase. But it's a tender. We will not suddenly demand from you that you do grant documentation. It's a tender documentation enough to basically provide the evidence necessary for your invoices. Okay, so this is basically the work you get paid for. Here, the offer part is that after each phase, at the end of each phase, not after, during each phase, there is a call off. Yeah. So in phase 1, as we know, there will probably 5 suppliers. In phase 2, there will be 3. So obviously, there's a call off between these 5, and 3 will be picked, and then 2 will be, at least 2 will be picked at the end. All depends on basically the prices you are offering us. This is how the work is going to evolve. We did this first. I mean, although the tender comes, we did this first to describe the project. Yeah. So what you've heard now is the project after you won. Obviously, more exciting at this current stage and point in time is the tender, and the rest of the event will be focused on the tender. And if you have questions on that, better now, because the rest will focus on the tender. If they turn up, that's okay. Now on the challenge brief. In summary, we have 4 domains for the technical solution we desire. We want a solution which answers our needs for information. The cities, any regular municipal worker, not knowing what circular economy is, or not knowing what good case studies are in a particular field, in one of the value chains, in one of those vertical elements. And for this, we expect you some sort of digital intelligence, be it AI or algorithmic or whatever, to go through the data available, publicly available, or in your own databases, and applying taxonomies to them so that you can explain what these case studies are, what circular economy is in the local language, using the terms defined in the taxonomy. Based on this knowledge, and I, as a municipal worker, want to take one of your case studies you have found for me with the AI, and I want to act on it, you will provide us with the user with workflows on basically on how to do it step by step. in accordance with their ability and already existing knowledge on circular economy. So this is on the day-to-day level, the workflows, and on the macro level, on the city level, there are the missions which are deployed at the beginning. Yeah, when you implement the solution in any given city, so obviously in phase 3, in the demonstration cities, you will create a mission which basically describes what the city should aim for over the coming years based on the national, local policies. Look, all of this will be more detailed once we open the file. This is a summary. Yeah? These features and these as well will be made available through the platform, which serves obviously as the access point for the AI, as the access points and management point for the workflows and the mission, as well as a communication platform within the city organization between me, the municipal worker, and my CE expert, as well as to the local businesses who might be able to offer me things I need, or who I need to talk to because I tell them, look, we have procured stuff for 40 years like that, but we will change it because of circularity. These are the changes you can expect. These are how should we do it? What's the best way? Because I, as a city, can be as circular as I want to be as circular as I want, but if the local economy cannot provide me with the circular solutions, it will be a dead end. Yeah, it will not lead anywhere. Local economy needs to come along, and this is also reflected on this platform. And then there is obviously a change for the municipal workers in having to use your solution, obvious one, and second, obviously transition to from linear to circular. And this needs preparation, and it requires some training. This should be embedded as deeply as possible, as seamlessly as possible in the other steps taken on the platform. But this needs to be curated. It needs to be selected. What kind of materials do I going to use? You can use whatever is there already available in public. You do not need necessarily to create, but you need to make sense of it and be able to provide it to a user when it matters. Yeah. If someone searches about food, they don't want to read about recycling of plastic, for instance. Yeah, this would not be a good outcome. Okay, so that's high level. These 4 distinctions are the main structural point of the technical solution. A reminder, we are technology neutral. So if you ask us, is the algorithm, is the LLM named whatever suitable for you? Do you want that? I would say the answer will always be the same. Yes, if it solves the problem. As long as whatever you combine and technologies and approaches, if you can convincingly write that this is going to be able to solve the needs we have, then it's good. It's fine. Yeah, you're building the solution to meet the capacity, to meet the quality criteria required from us, and B, to build your business model ultimately. If we were to define it, we would limit both. Yeah, because we don't fully understand. Be honest. Yeah, we don't fully understand what the best way is. We need your help to solve the problem. And B, even if we were to understand what the best way is to solve it today, well, we don't know how to make it lasting. Only a concept on the business model approach level can ensure that this solution will remain available for 5 years. Otherwise, it would be just a research project and it ends. But we want a product, a service at the end, which will remain available. Now the technical application template. So first the theory, and then I will open the files and I will show you. Yeah. A reminder that the challenge in the technical application template are linked. Yeah. So in the call for tenders, you will find a table in section 3.4, which is basically the points you will get for any given section. And the title of this award criterion is exactly the title of the section in the challenge brief. And your tender will respond in exactly the section titled the same way in the technical application template. Yeah, I leave it at that. Now, obviously, we need to score your tenders to find out which has the highest quality, and after you have written your tender according to the guidance, we will read it and we will assign scores. Yeah, and each section has a maximum, can carry a number of points you can get, and there's a total threshold for the entire section. We have decided against individual thresholds in each in individual subcriterions because, I don't know, you could be a genius in 14 out of 15 and in one you are weak and then you should reject you. No, this is not good. So we only have a summary threshold for each for the technical criterion, commercial criterion, and the project management criterion. So cumulatively, you need to get enough points to go over the threshold. With this, you remain eligible. The offer remains valid and to be ranked. And each criterion has a certain weight to offer to provide for the to basically add up how many points you've got. As you note in phase 1, for the initial tender for phase 1, commercial plan, we do not expect a commercial plan. This is a criterion you will have to answer to if you will make the initial tender and you write your call-off proposal. Yeah, but at this stage, commercial plan is pretty, let's be frank, pointless, because you are currently developing your technical solution, and developing a commercialization plan at the same time is rather catch-22. So we rather you focus on the technical solution and make it good, and then think, as a result of having the technical solution, your approach ready, think of what is the best way to commercialize it. Commercialization is to be distinguished from the business model. The business model is basically how you want to make money. The commercialization is how you want to reach out to the demand side and convince them to give you money. Yeah, it's two different things. The business model is typically hard to separate from the technical solution. The commercialization plan, there could be multiple ways of doing it. Okay, so that's the points you can get. The price quality ratio is focused. It's 90-10, so this means the final score is 90% quality and 10% price. Yeah, the formula for price is the same as always. Lowest price divided by your price times 100 times 10%. So there you go. Draw your conclusions from it. By bidding very low, will not achieve the outcome it might have achieved in other tenders where the ratios are sometimes 60-40. 90-10 gives an indication that first and foremost we want a good solution, a good proposal. Okay, the next steps QA. Let's leave that. I do this later. So now I'm going to open the file. I need to change my screen. I will first show the technical application template. Yes, and because once you've seen it, I think the trick is done. You might have questions there also. Yeah, if I said you can ask questions about the challenge brief, obviously you can also ask questions about TD6. but the content is mostly in the challenge brief. Okay. So I wait a second. Sometimes the screen takes a few moments for everybody to show up. This is a Word file. It is a well-prepared Word file. And for your own sanity and for our sanity, we strongly advise to use the styles when you format things, and use it in a software which can handle that. So the structure is exactly as you can have expected it. It is basically the award criteria. The only difference is that the award criteria here are in one section, because it's basically the same text, just assessed across two different dimensions. Yeah, the one is the quality, and the one is the feasibility of your work plan. I will explain it also in the challenge brief. Now, I also explain, because I'm here and it's visible, I also explain it here. So there will be definitely one contractor, one lead. This is the person who signs the contract, and this is the person who is the first point of contact during the project. It does not mean that it can become softer over time, but principally speaking, this is the single point of contact. You don't have to have partners. Yeah, basically people who share the liability with you to develop the solution, and take certain roles in your project. You might, but not have to, have subcontractors which provide certain specific elements of your solution which you need to describe. And it might be that you foresee subcontractors at later phases. Now, you need to describe phase 1 completely. You need to also conduct planning in section 3 for phases 2 and 3. And you might say that at some stage you need a subcontractor for something very specific. I don't know, quality testing. I don't know. This is all just an example. Then you are expected to describe that. Yeah. And please, to make it transparent and to avoid silly questions from us as to whether you have to provide the declaration of honor or whatever, make this transparent and ideally use these references here. As stated last week, there's no preface here, there's no forward here, but there is a pink section at the beginning of the document. And the entire pink text is to be deleted once you've submitted. If you don't know the trick how to do it, you can basically select all instances at once via the styles, and then you click delete, and you have deleted it all. Yeah. Don't spend 15 minutes looking through the document. And it describes the requirements for the text or instructions on how to do the text. So everything pink is guidance. This is a must. It cannot be more than 60 pages. If it is more than 60 pages, we will cut it off. Yeah. You can only exclude some annexes, which are basically the graphics of your, some graphics which you will put in small here, but will put in full resolution as an annex. Here, this is suggested. Yeah, you don't have to follow this recommendation. It is just an estimate. If you diverge from it, that's fine. But if you write 10 pages on the technical section and 50 pages on the commercial feasibility section, then probably something is wrong. Yeah. Please just use the styles which are here. Don't change it. The annexes I already mentioned. The structure on the first 3 levels must be followed. You've done it with intent for you to make it easy to respond to the tender, and for us to make it easy to read your tender, because we know what to score with which points and according to which section of the challenge brief. So the first 2 levels, sorry, I correct myself. The 3rd level, you are free. Yeah, you are more free to use it. There are some suggestions here and there, but if you think your story doesn't work, modify it. Yeah, so on the third level, your heading can vary, and so it goes. This structure we will provide for each call-off. We will provide you with a revised template. Good sections you will be able to build on your prior results, not only your offer, but also whatever you have written in TD in your deliverable 1.1 and 1.2. There are a few statements which are required, which follow from the challenge brief. And I will not go through the entire file. I would exemplary. Here you basically see that for the section 1.1, which constitutes the subcriterion T1, we expect this content. A lot is typically a repetition of the core statements from the challenge brief, but it sometimes also includes instructions which would not work well in the challenge brief. So there is also additional detail. It's not only repetition, there's also additional detail. Either regarding the content or regarding how to do it, or both. In black, for your convenience, basically the description of a text which you need to respond to yes, no. Yeah, so you don't have to delete it or whatever. You don't have to write it. You can simply state it yes, no. If you were to save space and to summarize it into one statement, as long as it is does what this does, also fine by us. Here, regarding the taxonomy, please note the differences across these three. Yeah, there is a mandatory, there is an ambition, and there is an optional intent here. Yeah, the taxonomy has three parts, and they're not treated the same way because it's not possible. The terminology is a must. Everybody has to use the terminology we define. You can contribute to it. You will contribute it through your tender and through your work on the project, but ultimately, your digital solution should be very flexible and should not struggle with accommodating terms. If you have additional terminology, obviously you can use it. It might be even IP. You do not have to make public. So here, any contributions you wish to share with the working group, this is can be a plus. Yeah, if you have something you wish to share, we haven't covered yet, and anything you wish to remain confidential. Yeah, you have, I don't know, you have built up a case study repository on certain value chains, and you wish not to share it because you use it in another business model. That is okay. And so it goes. Yeah, I mean, I will not present this in detail, but you see there's a section. There are 10 suggested subsections. If you would reorder them, that's fine, as long as the text makes sense. That's okay, as long as the content is in this section, that's all well. Even up to this level, if it makes sense, you can change it. It is just a reminder for you on what to consider and describe. This seems a lot, but a lot, as I said, is repetition. This part, for instance, you can delete immediately because it will only become relevant in your call-off. Okay, so we just want to share it with you ahead of time of what you're thinking about it, that you're not surprised when once you have won this the tender. In the first call-off, we will ask you to also fill this section, for instance. Okay, I see 2 questions. Okay, is there any limit for the annex docs? There are no annex docs. There are only annex images. And therefore, any annex which contains content will be simply ignored. Yeah, we will not share it with the procurers. We will be opening the tenders, Empirica. We will prepare the files for the evaluation of the procurers. And if there is suddenly, I don't know, a 50-page or a beautiful presentation which we haven't asked for, then we will not share with the procurers, and the procurers will never know that it existed. It will not invalidate your offer, but it will simply not matter. What you can share as an annex is described at the top. Yeah. Will you have chance to share your questions later before submissions? Yes, there will be another event. You can ask questions anytime via the mail, and there will be another events to follow. And then questions from sorry if I don't read out everything. For those present, you can read it in the Q&A. It's visible for you. For those watching the recording, I try to remind myself to make clear what the question is about. Okay, what are the criteria for evaluating the effectiveness and validity of solutions developed using natural language processing or large language models, especially considering the extensive research and development requirements? Yeah, that's a good one. We do our best to kind of describe what we believe is necessary to understand, to know whether the proposal you make, the R&D proposal you make, is complete, makes sense, and is convincing. Yeah. So I will refer to this back in a moment as I present the challenge brief because it contains more on it. How can we determine the practical applicability of the solution's real-world scenarios? And to what extent does reliance on APIs impact the validity on reliability? Okay, I have to revisit this. I can't answer this right now. Okay, so because I see it, there's a table here. It is here, it's exemplary. Yeah, you can use it. You can use something else. We don't mind. But when you describe your progress, your vision of what your solution would be, then we would ask you to first identify the reference point or the state of the art. Yeah, and we will then agree with it or not, and then we will see this is what R&D result you present and the vision you have for it. And we will state, yeah, that's right. The state of the art is really weak in this point. The R&D result you make makes sense, and score accordingly. So here the table, it's a way of doing it. You can do it another way. It's up to you. But there are tables which are basically fixed templates. Yeah. So for instance, this here, the work packages, we kindly ask you to fill them in like that. It's exactly the same format as in Horizon, so it should be familiar. The point here is not that we want elaborative work packages. Yeah, you see here 6, whether it's 6 or not, we don't know. Depends on your planning. The main point is to identify who is in charge of something. Because we need to understand when we assess your quality and feasibility of your work plan, is we need to understand that it's not only a nice idea, there are also people behind it who are able to do it and they know how to do it. So that's the point of the project management section. Yeah, it's limited to the realization of the project. Yeah, you have described your research ambition in section 1. You have described how you would exploit it in section 2. And in section 3, you describe how you would realize the development during the course of the 3 phases. So there it goes, templates, the deliverables repeated, so you don't have to do it yourself. Again, our point is responsibility. If you have work packages, that you break it up. That's it. And then there are a few, if applicable, bits. So basically, if you don't do subcontracting, you can also delete these sections. Yeah, it's then up to you, and it's okay if you delete something which we clearly marked as something you can delete or not describe. As to the annex, okay, annex, there's one annex. I correct myself, sorry for before. This was added during the review, so that's why I have not thought of it. This annex will not be counted towards the Page count, yeah, this annex has no limit on page count. If you use many, that's okay. It is, we did not originally intend it, but we have to do it, is that you highlight, clearly identify any supplier data sets you have and clearly document that you have the rights for it. Yeah. And if you add us data sets, provide us with ideas on new data sets, that your contributions will be acknowledged. The main aspect is these two parts, that anything you want to keep for yourself, anything you want to add to the taxonomy. This part can be clarified during the contractual. I mean, you can't know it. Yeah, you can't check for every data sets which we have already listed in the taxonomy on whether it's all public or not. So if you repeat what is in the annex of the challenge brief, that's okay for us at this point in time. When we sign the contracts, then you need to have certainty. Yeah, you need to basically know whether you have access to it or not. But that's to come later. That this bit is a tiny bit confusing, not as clean as it could be. It's not entirely our fault. Let's put it. Okay, now I open the challenge brief. So again, here I highlight that the parts are building on each other. Yeah, the section one especially is written from top to down. Some bits of the bottom section of further down in section one build on what is said before. Yeah, you could also have written it the other way around, but not to repeat stuff we do not repeat. Yeah, so to understand certain bits towards the bottom of section one, you need to also have read, for instance, parts of the AI. Even if you are a change provider, yeah, you should have read all parts. We state what mandatory requirements and manufacturer performance requirements are, with must or with bold in bullet lists. This matters for the assessment whether your results during the project have been satisfactory, which means whether you have provided enough to be paid, but it is the minimum. Yeah. So whether you are showing promise of the solution we envisage, it needs to go beyond. Yeah. This I already said. Here a remark that the challenge brief will not be forgotten. Yeah, it will remain for us the thing we check. If we read something you do, if you propose something you do, we will check with the challenge brief. It might be that our idea of the challenge brief evolves, and then we would potentially update it during a call-off. But fundamentally, we expect that our vision for the CE solution will remain. Yeah. So once you've submitted the tender, it is continuous. Not something new starts, it's continuous. Okay, the sections, a very detailed table of contents, which each subsection, with each subsection, and yeah, let's jump in. The challenge summary. So the background I've explained often enough. The common challenge I have explained often enough. Basically a summary of the 4 domains. And obviously, because we want this project at the end of it, a business model and ultimately a commercialization plan. The user groups are first and foremost the city users, which can be intermediaries, so experts in circular economy, or any given municipal user, but also the local economy, which means that we call it a two-tier platform, that the city users will have an access and that the business users will have an access. The business users will have a limited set of functionality. We do not expect to replicate everything for them. No, it will be limited, but it will give access to the AI, for instance. It will give access to the communication, and it will establish this networking component, which is described in the platform below. The demonstration sites, CTD1, and they are known. They are the 8 procurers plus some open access to others, third parties for the follower to make your business case better. Basically, advertise for yourself after the end of the project. And this graphic you've seen. Each section has a context. Basically, where are we coming from? Yeah, what's our starting point? What's our view on certain things, or opinion even? The challenge, what we want to have solved from you, and an assessment listing basically how we will read your tender. And yeah, where you can find information. On the annexes I spoke about in the initial event. So the taxonomy is really a repetition. Something to evolve. The personas, I think, are insightful to understand what kind of users we foresee. And Annex 3 and 4 are documentation. Yeah. The focus groups in the survey were conducted a long time ago. On this, we have built our challenge brief, but it does not supersede our challenge brief. Our challenge brief is built on more data than whatever the focus group told us. Nevertheless, it might be informative or interesting for some people to read. And then terminology. This is a terminology we hopefully used in a disciplined fashion throughout the proposal. And it's important to understand. Shall I go one by one? It's already 50 minutes, so maybe not. Yeah. So here's the terminology, and yeah, I mean the majority of the terms are used. I already explained them. They are briefly described here and described in more detail further below. And then it goes. Context, the challenge for you, what you must do, what you could do, and how we're going to assess it. So this comes back to the question of how are we going to assess certain criteria. For instance, for AI, there is the assessment. There's a challenge and the assessment of how prompting should be. How the interaction of the AI with the users would be, and how you maybe do prompting if you do prompting. So, and here we foresee a case study, which you are to describe, which will be also during phase one of the first test scenarios bets for us. We will basically test your AI with first searches on case studies, and then we will see what your AI and overall solution is capable of. And the bullet lists in bold the minimum reward criteria. It does mean that the rest is not relevant. The order is guided by structure, what makes sense. It is not reflective of a priority. And only bold tells you it's minimum, the rest follows. We will also, to be clear, now, importantly on the principles, it is principles. It is not a 0-1 requirement, which is either fulfilled or not fulfilled. We understand that in these complex systems, it is necessary to sometimes weigh one against the other. If you do one thing better, another thing will get worse. We understand that. So you are to find an equilibrium and explain to us why this equilibrium is good. Let's say you focus on this here. I just select randomly these two items, and these two items are a bit less. then this is okay. But you are to explain to us in your approach, in your concept, it is done because we believe, because we think, or because our AI is capable of that. The more evidence you use, the better. So the information section is basically AI, how your concept, your overall design. So give us the high level view. How are you going to train your AI? What's your concept on training and repeating it? We have made up this very weird word learning because we don't know how to help us. Training means this is general AI knowledge. Your AI knows about circular economy based on publicly available data. Learning for us is looking into an individual city and looking at the data the city has. What the AI learns there is limited within these realms of the city. If the AI learns that it is very good in taking care of recycling, but very bad in taking care of circular procurement, for instance, then this might be true for one city, but it is not true for another city. So, strictly speaking, both is training in IT terms, but to distinguish the two processes, we came up with this AI learning. Oversight means that a circular economy expert has to oversee the solution, check it regularly, improve the quality, and so on. We want an AI which is good in circular economy. It can be as bad as whatever in anything else. It does not need to know about the best Netflix series or whatever, or write a poem or homework. Doesn't need to do that. It needs to know about circular economy and give good, high quality answers in circular economy. And then obviously the data sets which will be used in the course of it. Interaction prompting is basically the models by which you choose to make the AI accessible. Whether you use chat or not you are free, but there must be at least one. And then risk management assessment follows from AI Act. Anyone who ever will want to sell an AI to a public institution or even offer it publicly will have to have an AI risk assessment management system in place in the future, from 26 onwards, I think. There are a few key indicators by which we want to assess the performance of the AI. This is very, very hard. So this will probably be revised with better research on how to assess AI. And it is not, it's a bit soft, because depending on your model, we will not, for instance, punish those who do frequent training because they could use more energy because of that, and want to, read the text. It's better explained in the text. There was a question. Is there or will be a predefined proposed AI use cases for the interactions? No. I mean, there are a few implied here. Case study search is one, that we expect that the case study search is one that I, as a municipal worker, am responsible, I don't know, for the construction sector in my city, and I now want to know about case studies on avoiding a certain type of waste or reuse it or whatever. Then I will go sit down and make this search in your AI. This is the case study we will use for testing your solution, but you might come up with others. For this, to know what is relevant, you basically need CE expertise. What do people in cities actually need? What makes sense? You can derive from the annexes a bit, maybe, and from the text here. I don't know. It does not have to be many. Many does not win. To be clear, only what makes sense, what has impact. The impact is more circular economy, more circularity. So describe the impact. The operation. The operation is basically, yeah, the business of the city. And here there is the CE mission. So at the beginning and of the implementation of your platform in any given city, you will create a circular economy mission using the AI as well as CE expertise and in an interactive personal exchange with the relevant people at the city. And describe what the city is supposed to do over the coming years. What we want here is not obviously the mission itself, because the mission will differ from city to city. We want you to describe your concept, your approach to it. Concept means how will a mission look like? Approach means what will be the process be? Yeah, how would we conduct it? And yeah, there are multiple ways of answering this. Yeah. So you basically have to describe one which makes sense in the context of your AI and in the context of the platform you envisage for yourself. The workflows is the day-to-day work. So basically what I do as a municipal worker on a day-to-day basis. And a workflow is constituted of multiple modules. A module you can consider to be a template or a framework or whatever language you want to use, which is there. Yeah, let's consider the business canvas is one module. No, business canvas is always the same. Everybody uses always the same. And in this case, whatever. It might constitute one of the modules, and it is now for you to define which modules will I need, and how will the workflow be created when a user says, from this case study, I want to make a workflow and do it. This is obviously in the first version in your 10, this is a research proposal. Yeah. Only by doing it, you will be able to improve it. So this will evolve. Yeah, we do not expect you to know exactly what it will be, but we want you to describe what you think a good way forward is, not only in how to in what the workflow constitutes, but also in how to basically further design it. Again, a longer list of items. What can I say also on the items? I mean, in a proposal, you will have to be selective and say, I cannot answer everything. This is what I first want to answer. Yeah? So whether you use highlight or whatever, take the bullets out you wish to focus on and describe something on first, describe it, and then see what else you can add because it basically falls out of it. This also happened to us in the challenge brief. Yeah, we had a ginormous problem. We first had to describe something, and then the rest fitted. Yeah, it kind of came together. Indicators, very difficult topic in general. We have taken a very pragmatic view on it. Yeah, circular economy indicators. There has been research on for 15 years on it now. It is hard to pick. There is now something coming out finally. So obviously this should be the basis. But what we want you to do is find indicators, or I don't know, describe indicators, foresee how you will pick indicators which are very practical. Yeah, we don't want to know the finest grain of detail on efficiency or sustainability or whatever on any given value chain. No, we want something which scales upwards. You know, that if a municipal worker does something, they know what they have achieved, and that it also matters on the city level. I cannot explain it better. You need to read it. And if you have questions on it, please ask me. But it is not as complicated as it may seem. Yeah, because last year there have been at least 2 tenders published by the European Commission on establishing CE tenders. SCE indicators, we are not asking you to replicate such an effort. It's impossible. Yeah, we ask you to make something which makes sense in the platform, that people, real people who know nothing about CO2 equivalents, for instance, know what they achieved, because I, as a municipal worker, will be motivated by it. Yeah, it's whether I'm intrinsically motivated or motivated by a KPI. It will tell me save 100 whatever units, and I have achieved 20. That's great. Yeah, and then further up, people know 20 has been achieved. That's great. And then there is a different thing, which are circular procurement criteria. As you know, in procurement, things need to be assessed ex ante before it has happened, such as in this tender. So procurement criteria is the process of the city buying stuff and how they should assess what they are buying. Here, the AI should be able to do a good part of the trick, because there's more and more stuff out there. You know, your AI must basically be capable of getting access to it and making it presentable and relevant. And then there's the CE procurement. Those who have been present in the OMCs, we might remember that we said we do not care so much about procurement, but we realized that given what the AI is capable of, it should also be, and AI has shown to be capable of over the past 10 months, 12 months. It should be possible that you basically, a procurement department feeds a document set into the AI, and the AI tells you back that there are weaknesses or it is not compliant with a city mission or something like that. Again, you can only describe your concept. You can only evolve it by testing it. You know? So this is iterative development. Organization. This is basically where everything comes together, the platform. So the platform, white label, means that every city should be able to basically brand it, because it will present itself to the users as something which is within the city. Scalable means that both on within the city, it can be 5 users or 500 users, depending on the size of the city, but also that you can add many cities along the line. 2-tier refers to it being first a city solution, but also providing services to local businesses. Sustainable, that as green as possible. Platform, it's a platform in the concept that it is not in the maintenance concept, basically. And that's it. Communication, self-explanatory. So communication, basically, that it is some sort of, that I don't need to go to emails to chat about something, that I can do it through the platform, because it will also provide me NLP. You're already going to deploy an NLP, so why not also provide translation services in the communication? Matchmaking means that through the business registering with the platform, the city would be able to see what kind of circular businesses there already are. It's very easy. It's an automated service. But then a bit more on that, such as we provided to you, that businesses can meet with one another and say, let's develop something circular here. Or when the city tenders something, that they can find each other and respond to the tender. Networking is this active building in circular thinking. That when the city changes its operation, that the city can interact with the businesses to on how to do it. The other things are kind of self-explanatory. You need to be interoperable. You need to be secure. And then change. A change strategy. and then the tools by which it is being done. So for user, a self-assessment, some form of questionnaire or whatever, in which by which the user will get insight into how much they know, and the AI will gain insights into how much the user knows, so that the workflows, the upskilling content provided is suitable. And obviously the upskilling content, and then a small feature that information can be recorded. Commerciality, I think I said enough about it. First of all, that your solution is innovative because it is an R&D project. Your business model, which includes both the vision and the impact, as well as the means by which you want to later make money, so that this solution is sustainable in an economic way. Strategic autonomy, if you don't know the term, it is an EU term. It basically says that you almost automatically achieve it. Yeah, I don't say much more. Is that if you increase circularity, you increase resilience. By this, you increase strategic autonomy. So it is required by the EC guidance that we have something along these lines. That's why it's here, but it will not be the most surging section for you. Let's put it this way. This comes in phase 1, and here the 2 criteria: the quality. Yeah, have you actually understood everything we wrote and foreseen it? And then if you have foreseen it and described it, does it make sense what you plan to do? Yeah, or are you not doing something else? And here also, obviously, do you have the necessary resources to do it? Okay, I see a few more questions, and Bart, please open also the mics, then we can ask, you can ask any questions. Spoke longer than I intended. I think I spent too much time on the presentation. TD2, specifics that servers should run on renewable energy. Okay, MS Azure we partner with does not clarify the source of energy. Is the requirement critical? Okay, good one. I mean, send an email and ask whether it is done. If it is not done, then quote something from Microsoft on what they want to achieve. It is not critical. We will not kick anyone out because of it. I mean, the entire indicator is indicative, but yeah, you should seek it, yeah, to be as green as you can. I think Microsoft has actually quite green ambitions. So it's not critical. You don't worry about that. If you have an infrastructure, we will not ask you to switch it. But I would recommend send an email and ask. Okay, then there was the question again from Khan Atta regarding the efficiency of the solutions. As I said, as with the use case for the case study, as I described, we will basically test it in practice. Yeah, I mean, we will during the tender, we want to be convinced of your concept, your approach, your vision and ambition for it. Yeah, you have to convince us that it makes sense, that it's complete, that it is good. The assessment of whether something is good will happen during the project, during the phases. Through the testing schemes, we will deploy. Phase 2, there will be prototype testing. Obviously, we will provide you with kind of a testing framework, which will then describe how we assess whether your solution performs or not. Here, whether a solution is efficient is more described by the table 1 in TD1 than by the challenge brief. In the challenge brief, we ask for an idea, no, more than an idea, a description of a way to kind of bring the things together we ask for. Yeah, this is the good part of the challenge, integrating things to the best possible degree. And this is an intellectual challenge, which is for which you might have some evidence because you have done work in certain fields, so you provide your evidence. But it is also an R&D ambition, so you describe basically by logical and scientific arguments that this, we can do this. And then at this point, we have to trust your description and take it, and then we'll see. Then comes the project, then you will develop your stuff, and then we will put it to a test, and then we will give you feedback, and you can improve it. And if it is very, very good, then it passes on to the next phase, and so it goes. So please, maybe you need to split these two things a little bit. Yeah, the tender is the tender, the project is the project work. In a tender, we will never be able to assess your R&D work. This comes later. Okay, then how can we determine the practical applicability of these solutions real world scenarios? I mean, basically, you need to know that. I mean, if you don't know what achieves circular economy expert impact, then it would imply that you're guessing. So you need a circular economy expert who kind of thinks with you regarding any given. Okay, no, okay, I answered a bit differently. Sorry. We believe that the platform as such envisaged will have immense impact on circular economy. Yeah. Right now, we are at, this is the best number, 14, some people claim 14% circular or green procurement. There are other statistics of 9%. It is dismal. Yeah. Circular economy is growing. There are value chain things and whatever, but the city operations is currently hardly at all capable of accommodating the needs of circularity, the consequences of circularity. So your solution will by default have, we are convinced that it will do good if it provides the features we requested. Yeah, so I would answer this differently to what I started with. We believe your solution will be applicable. You do not convince us from that. However, depending on how you do it, depending on how much you thought about it, your vision and the impact you foresee might be vary. Yeah, hence we asked for this from you, that you explain this as well. So the second part I would answer is a separate question. And to what extent does reliance on APIs impact their validity and reliability? Yes, it does. So your platform, your AI, most of all, will have gained a general understanding of circular economy by whatever is available in the public. Yeah, you remember my raising my hands. So the case studies on circular economy, your AI will be able to make sense of and make this knowledge available and so on. Which of these data sets are publicly available and how they are accessible and what not, I don't know. How able you are to access these and make use of them, I don't know. It depends on your concept. Yeah. So how smart your AI can get is kind of limited by your approach. Okay, that's one bit. Whatever answer I now ask the CE, your solution is generically true, irrespective of any site, any city. Now we look into each individual city, and within each individual city, the answers might differ a little bit. Yeah, because the challenges the cities have vary, or in one city there's no hope of any reuse or whatever, and can only recycle because there's not the necessary industry or something like that. So the focus then varies a bit. How do you find this out? Only through data provided by the procurers. The data provided by the procurers, this will be worked on over the coming months. We will share this with you when you start phase one. And you will also work with these people relevant for it. And we will get as much as we can out of the cities but we will be realistic about it. Yeah, it cannot be that your solution, a platform solution, will have to be customized for months for any given city so that it can utilize any given data set. It must be reasonably simple. Yeah. For it to be simple, your platform must have an API which is able to kind of consume data. Yeah, that it is more likely that a city is able to send data to you than the city being able to open legacy systems for you to dig in. Yeah, so upward stream is more likely, sending data upwards is more likely, hence you need an API. If you apply the given, current interoperability standards, then I would claim the differences are marginal. I'm not marginal, I don't know that, but interoperability is quite advanced by now. So I cannot answer this question more than I did, I think. Okay, I don't see any further questions. The mics are open, so if you want to raise your hand or ask, please go ahead. There's a question. Sorry, I missed this. In this document, it mentions that the NLP can cover languages beyond those represented by the bias group, and translations can be performed by NLP. My question is there any list of languages that this proposed solution must support? Well, during prototype testing and at the latest at the phase 3, it must provide the languages of the demonstration site, and the demonstration sites are these. Yeah, so Turkish, German, Finnish, Portuguese, English, Slovenian, Swedish, English. That's the minimum. If it is a generic NLP and you utilize how to answer this? To be also transparent, we don't. The AI does not need to be a monolithic thing. Yeah, I think that's obvious, but till I say it, it could be that certain functionality is performed by different AI. So you need an NLP which is capable of going through all kinds of data and matching it with the taxonomy and getting information out of it, but it does not necessarily mean that the same AI is the one which translates stuff. The latter case is obviously more established in the market than the former. Yeah. So the challenge, the challenge lies mostly in making AI smart about circular economy. Making an AI smart good in translation is not the challenge here. Yeah. So this also means that you shouldn't spend. If you write a work plan and 50% of your resources is into how to translate, it's not good. Yeah, because this problem is partially solved. You just need to use the right setup or use the right starting point. I don't know. Have I missed something else? But have I missed something? Oh, there's a new post. Okay. What is the scope of sourcing of CE case studies? Would it be Europe, EU, or limited to the cities in the scope? So I can definitely exclude the last one, because if it were so, then they would be already circular. It is what anything that makes sense, whatever you can think of. Yeah. In the taxonomy, we have described, or in the annex of we have repeated it basically. We have repeated here a set of case study databases. We believe them to be open access, so they kind of, you can, as I said before, you can copy paste it into your tender. But there might be others which we are not aware of, and you can contribute to, or you might have own private data, IP protected data, which you may utilize. Whether this is the best way of going about, I don't know. Yeah, I mean, the case study thing is basically one way. We describe another way also in the tender, to be clear. Not that someone misses it just because I haven't said it. We also describe another way, which is basically the tendering platforms. That there have been tenders being published, and they are also publicly available. And through finding what circular tenders they have been, you can also draw conclusions on the case studies and practices. So we really do not mind, and there might be a point of a trade-off point by which you might find out during the project and during the proposal that more is not better, and you limit it to a degree, and say these are the best sources for training the AI. But any creativity is welcome. Yep. The challenge is clearly to train the AI into all areas, all value chains, whatever you want to call it. So, which does not mean that you have to start with all of them at the same time during the project. There are limits in time and everything. So if you have an expertise in any given value chain, you might start there and then train it from there onwards. But yeah, it cannot be that the AI ultimately knows everything about food, but nothing about construction, for instance. Yeah, that's but again, I'm talking about the project and not about the tender. Yeah, so during the tender, what we are more interested in is you explaining to us how the AI will consume such data. And if you have information on data data sets you will consume, then this is also valuable and insightful and will be rewarded. But first and foremost, describe a good approach and design. I mean, IT architectural design. I see on the question on predefined prepared AI, how is this for the interactions? Thanks for the answer. I understood that all the data and documents need to be provided by that are used by AI. What? That all the data and documents need to be provided by us that are used by AI LLM, right? Okay. Okay, I think Hassan, it might not be your answer to your question, but this is something, it triggers something in my head which has been observed before. So our approach to this tender is a bit different to how AI has been procured in the past. In the past, AI has been always procured by basically the procurer giving someone a data set and the supplier training the data on the data set to answer something. We believe that this is not practical, as the field is way too large. So we the procurers would never be able to collect all the data sets to make you able to train the AI. And it would remove a significant part of the challenge. In the past, AI was much less capable, so this was kind of justified. Yeah, it kind of was necessary because otherwise nobody knew what is to happen. Since AI has become much more powerful and much more computing power and whatever has much improved immensely. So we say finding the data sets for training is part of the challenge, yeah? Because we do not know how to best train the AI. You know, just because you have an AI, which are now public, much more public than they were a few years ago, it does not mean that we also train. So what do you have to provide? You have to provide us with the list of data sets and the description of the data sets, but we do not ask you to, at least in the tender, to make a copy of all the data sets and send them to us. We are not interested in that. Yeah? I mean, on the contrary, we are working with the taxonomy to basically record it publicly, so for everybody to use. When it comes to contracts at a later point in time, then during the project, we will still not ask you to send us any given data set. It might only become relevant at a later stage in time, much later, when the project has ended and it's about commercialization of the solution, and you have not kept up your promise of commercializing the solution. Yeah. With this project, you subscribe to the intent of developing it, making it a product, and making it available to the market. If in the final stage, in the final step, you do not make it available to the market, the instrument, you have only been financed because you made the promise. And if you fail on the promise, then the buyers group have the right to utilize your IP to make it themselves. And in such context, it might be relevant that you have to share data sets. But at this stage, no. You just have to say which, describe it, what it's for, maybe, and that's it. I hope this answers it. If not, Hassan, follow up. Okay, nobody raises their hand. It's normal in a way because you are, with every day, you are more and more competing with. But please, there's a hand. I don't know who. I haven't seen. Please.
Hello.
Yeah.
My name is Ulaş Akın. I'm from Istanbul. Thank you very much for very, very useful approach to familiarize everybody. My question is about by taking into account the life cycle of the entire scope. To what extent we are expected to anticipate the changing legal aspects in the cities related to circular economy, as you have perfectly described that every city has different levels of it and of adaptation. How to anticipate this existing, ongoing, and upcoming policies, national level, local level, city level, applications, trends. To what extent, in my logic, we need to say something or at least develop a mechanism about that. What's your approach? Thank you very much.
Yeah, I know we are maybe a bit strange here. So, I mean, the shortest way I can answer is that your solution is agnostic. Yeah, it is. It shouldn't matter what the conditions are. You have a platform which is capable of displaying missions and an AI which knows about CE. Now you go into any given city and which will happen at a later stage in time. Yeah, so you don't know. Okay, very explicitly. We do not ask you during the tender to look into London or Berlin or whoever, what kind of circular economy stuff they have or do. Nah, we don't want an answer for that. They know already. Yeah, what they need is a tool which is able to translate this into something practical. Yeah, so we want you to develop the tool, which includes a process of making use of the local information and translate it, for instance, into this mission. So how is the mission generated? Maybe I explain a little bit. Today or tomorrow or in a year's time, there will be some framework in which the city has to operate. The framework might include national legislation, obviously EU directives, but also some strategies the city has already phrased. Maybe they hired some consultant last year and they got a description on doing something. Not that they know how to do it, but they wrote the plan. And this would be the starting point for creating the CE mission. Now, how the process exactly works is up to you. Yeah, don't want to determine anything, but it would probably include that the AI looks through all these documents and makes the first iteration of it. And then the mission is created. Now, the city is now using your platform. Yeah, the mission has been agreed with the relevant people at the city, including the mayor, possibly. You have it is being displayed on your platform, and then it's being worked on. If at any point in time, then later the framework conditions change, then yeah, you must update the mission. Yeah, I mean, you will have to update the mission anyway at some point once this 4 years or whatever period has ended. So there must be a mechanism. But during the project, you shouldn't worry all too much about it because the testing phase, the phase 3, is only limited to 1 year. Yeah, so you can assume that once you've implemented the mission, it remains stable for the duration of the project. Over. But if you are to provide a platform which is to run for 10, 15 years, obviously you must be able to go into the city again and tweak something, change something, adapt something. Then, so this on a process point of view. Now, where is the limit of understanding required? We do not ask you to document or comply, whatever, to any given final regulation. Yeah, the mission is a high-level view on circular economy for a city. In the majority of cities, this has never existed before. It in itself is already an added value. Yeah, so it gives targets. It describes where we should go, what is relevant for a city, what to consider, and good. Yeah. The final legal decisions and the detail will be decided by the municipal workers later. Yeah. So based on the mission, they search for a certain case study. They start with the workflow, and then they work on the workflow. Yeah. You give them the framework. Think about this and that. You need to talk to a person like that. They go through it, and then they will then know the legal. They will then know the legal detail and common practice and whatever to make decisions. We do not ask you. This is a good point. We do not ask you to solve every micro question through your platform, your CE solution. No, we want you to get the ball rolling in many fields, and there will be then complicated questions which will never be answered by an AI, will never be answered on the platform. They will always be answered by people, and ideally your platform has enabled these people to connect. Yeah, that the right people talk to one another, and then they act on it. There's so think this top down. Yeah, not from the final detail, from the final small print available, but top down. Strategy, action, facilitation, empowerment, whatever, but not ultimate decision making. You are providing support. You're not taking the job away from the people. I hope this answers. This is what you asked.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for the very detailed answers. Thank you.
Yeah, I don't see any questions, if I'm not wrong. If you have, if it should, if you read the challenge brief again after this presentation, and turns out you have a question or whatever, you can write in the supplier. I mean, I should present, right? 1 second, I show the slides again, and you can also see what I'm saying. There will also be the opportunity to ask technical questions at the end of the next week's meeting. Yeah, I mean, you can always write, but you can also ask then. The focus will be, as today, first in the administrative and the financial part. But if there's time, as there appears to be today, and so if you have admin questions, don't be shy to ask them now as well, because there's time and no other questions. There will be then the opportunity, and then at least in one point, we will have basically a help desk open, where you can come in at any time, and you can ask questions. Yeah. At a later stage, obviously, because work needs to proceed first, get to certain questions. Yeah, so that's in terms of how we will get there. Matchmaking, a reminder, a small note, something with the plugin happened yesterday night or yesterday noon. So people who want to register right now might struggle. All the available ones are already online. For those which are not yet registered, we will fix it as soon as we can. Yeah, you can only try. We are sorry for that. The developer of some plugin for WordPress has done something wrong. If you want to be registered and you don't want to check, which we understand, you can send us a screenshot of your entries and we would replicate it for you. Yeah, so maybe do this dual way. If you want to register, try, take a screenshot, send it also to us, and we would enter it in the backend, or rather, whenever it's possible again. Apologies. So we have added you to the supplier newsletter automatically, which will only be valid until the submission is over. So when, for instance, a question comes up which has been unexpected and all should have the answer to, we will inform you about this. Otherwise, the steps are, as I said last week, read, find the gaps between what you have and what you need, build your consortium, write an outline, and then iterate. Yeah, so you know how to write proposals. Don't need to explain this again. Yeah, what we are going to do is we are ready for your questions, and we will be working on the follower network. We work a little bit on the taxonomy. We will not publish anything new until the submission. So any new contribution will be yours and in your tender. no matter whether we found them or not. It's an addition. And yeah, in May, you should receive those who have submitted a result. And then the phase is, in the tender docs, we say mid-May, but more likely 1st of June, the phase 1 would start. Yeah. Again, I don't see any questions. What else do we want to say? I mean, I come back to these 2 slides. Yeah. So I recommend, after reading the entire challenge brief, to really think about the concept for each of these sections and then integrate it to the best degree you can. And be reminded, we do not expect the result before the work. So the actual delivery will happen during the project, but obviously we want sound, convincing explanation of what you intend. And the more evidence you can provide for it, the better. Evidence means not references. Let's be clear. References don't win anything. References just show that you can do it. Yeah, but what I mean with evidence is basically you can explain how certain things work. Yeah, and if this is believable, believable is such a silly word. If this is convincing that certain things will work in such and such way, mechanism, whatever, then we will take it as a word, and then we'll try. Yeah, we will see in the project. It is a competitive procedure with 5 suppliers. So by design, it is assumed that the R&D work is not straightforward, and that the R&D work is iterative, and that not everything will work out. This includes for those who are successful. You shouldn't overpromise, because at some point it's that we will then struggle to see what is valid, what is not valid. But if you have ambition, then make it obvious. Yeah. And again, when it comes to the technical question, it is up to you. The few technical requirements or statements you see in the challenge brief are mandatory. Beyond that, it is up to you to build something which gives a good machine, yeah, which works together. Together, I mean all the parts of it work. A machine, as I said before, as I need to repeat, a machine alone will not do the trick. There are people required. Yeah, so there must be you must also display how circular economy experts can interfere in the AI, and obviously themselves are not AI experts. Yeah, they will not change code. So how will they interact with the AI experts, and so on and so on. Yeah, but I think I mean, I try to say something new, but I doubt I do, because it's written in the challenge brief, and the challenge brief has been iterated a lot. It's been many months of work for many people, which does not mean that there might be questions unanswered. Good. Okay. No questions about the procedure. Everybody understood how to write the tender. Great. At least at this point, no questions about the circular PSP challenge brief. Okay. If you have admin questions, you can also ask them. I will stay online for a few more minutes, and then we will close the session. Thanks for your attention. I'm looking forward to read your bits, and good luck, and maybe see you next week or at some other point at the latest in writing.